it's hard sometimes when you're used to being in like a loud, paranoid, anxiety-ridden band to put out something a little more tender, and it puts you in a mode of, vulnerability.
Hi there, this is Dennis Black. Join us this month on the Black Wyatt Records podcast as filmmaker Mike McCarthy talks with musician and artist Alicja Trout about her legacy as a Memphis recording artist, as well as her new path as a painter, having just celebrated her first major gallery show called UNDERSTORY. Alicja talks about her life and influences, and we hear songs from her bands, The Lost Sounds, The Clears, the River City Tanlines, Alicja Pop, and others.
Well, I have a nicer voice and a meaner voice.
Uh-oh.
And
I don't want to hear that. I think I've heard
voice.
the mean one.
What are you taking notes on right now?
I'm writing my first novel, and I thought now would be a good time to start on it.
I think this is a good time to press record.
Dennis, if Dennis knows anything, he knows he's already hit record.
Has he hit record already? If I know he's hit record, we'll stop saying all the funny stuff now.
Right, this is going to be very serious. When did you begin to write War and Peace? What was it? Did you feel like you'd lived it, or?
Well,
why am
I decided that I needed an implement of torture for college students.
Take some notes, Dennis. Be important. Okay.
I actually really did attempt to read the whole book Moby Dick, which I really liked because that one's always noted as one of those books that, students are tortured by. And I started reading, I really liked it, but it was one of those times in life where something else got me off the book, and then I started another book and I never got back to it. So I've read about half that book, but I would like to get back to it again.
Well, why don't you just listen on audiobook?
Well,
while you're painting,
I could do that. I tend to listen to music while I'm painting. Yeah, I like music better while I'm painting, and I find that
what kind of music?
I usually listen to WFMU radio, and occasionally WYXR, but WFMU I kind of like. I've been listening so long, I get into all the different shows they supply.
So what are the differences between the two stations?
WFMU has a lot more like current, I guess you'd say indie rock punkish kind of underground band music shows and that I relate to. And then they have sort of bizarre, you could almost call them comedy shows, but just these weird quirky shows that I get into. And WYXR is a little more Memphis oriented, I'd say, and but I love their Friday. The Friday at WYXR is really.
But
good.
You don't listen to Weevil?
I really don't anymore. But no reason I don't. It's not that I don't like it, but I'm just a huge FMU fan, so I listen to WFMU pretty much all the time, and sometimes I just listen to nothing. Which is kind of a new thing for me.
Right.
I realize that I'm overstimulated and I'm just overstimulating the world, and I just turn on like a white noise machine and listen to nothing.
I also don't listen to things sometimes because I'm tired of entertainment. I'm tired of just being overwhelmed by...
I get overstimulated so easily. The other morning, I woke up around 6:30 and of course I got these foster kittens, and it was 9:30 and I was exhausted from all the stuff I'd done that morning already, including like making posters and updating all these things on bands in town, and, booking and coordinating with people overseas, and cleaning a kitten room and feeding my birds and shuffling my pets around and throwing in laundry and stuff. I was like, it's like between all the normal things you do around your house and then all the stuff you're doing on your phone and your computer and in Photoshop, and I was downloading these files and uploading them to Dropbox, and I was like 3 hours, I was like ready to go back to sleep again. One thing about playing music is a lot of times your night pattern gets really, one night you'll go to sleep at 10:30 and another night you'll go to sleep at 1:30, and you have to take naps in the middle of the day if you're going to be up till 1:30. And so
is it in your rider to always play first?
No, I really tried to get the 8:30 show going, but
how did those pictures turn out?
Great. You did a great job, and I used
nice
one.
pictures.
There were some of the I will ask you to take pictures with Lori's phone again. They were wonderful.
Sometimes I'll go see you, and I don't even know what version of you I'm going to see.
Yeah. Me neither.
And then the other night at Guitar Wolf, I totally missed you because you actually did play early.
Yeah, well, they said play at 8, and I didn't want. This sounded like a professional show.
How did you get in on the gig?
Eric just asked us.
Okay.
I know that when you're doing a show that's serious, and they say you're playing at 8 for 30 minutes, that you start at 8 o'clock and you play. I think we played for 27 minutes. And I also like to set that precedence because I remember back in like the Buccaneer days, we'd have 3-band show and the opening band would wait till like 11:45 to start. And you'd be like, come on, all your friends have been here.
It's like, what, have I got to set this place on fire to get the show to start on time?
Yeah. What are the live termites going to do?
So what is the difference between Alicia and Friends and anything else that you're doing?
Then I have named my last band Alicia and Friends. There's several reasons, and I hope I don't bore anybody. One of the reasons was I started this band because River City Tanlines was going to go to Europe, but Terrence couldn't go. So I needed to put together a River City Tanlines with Bubba and some other musicians.
What?
But we in Memphis can't be River City Tanlines, so we call ourselves Alicia and Friends.
Whoa. So Alicia and Friends is River City Tanlines minus Terrence.
Well, Alicia and Friends is a version of River City Tanlines that's going to Europe. So it's Alicia and Bubba, not Terrence, with Andrew and this guy, Drew, who popped out of the sky.
Wait, the guy with the mustache.
Does he have one? Yeah. Sometimes he has one, sometimes he doesn't.
I saw him at the party and I said, I don't know a lot of people with mustaches. I don't.
Yeah, he came with Andrew and his girlfriend.
But he's from California and I'm like, okay.
No.
Huh?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess he lived there for a little while.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
That was where he last lived.
Make sure he listens to this.
Yeah.
No, he had a hairdo and a mustache that was not familiar to me. And I'm like, hey, he's not from Midtown. Where's that guy from? And so I chatted with him for a minute. Well, and Andrew's playing bass. Yeah. Andrew Garashi.
Yeah, and Andrew plays bass in several of my bands, which would be Alicia and Friends, Sweet Knives, and Alicia Pop, which is on a little hiatus at the moment. So when I get asked to book a show, I basically, it depends on if Andrew's available. But we have Mouse Rocket, but that's we haven't played for I think 3 years now, and I'm going to get back to that. I do have River City Tanlines with Terrence, the Memphis version. To finish on Alicia and Friends, I was like, I can't come up with another band name and try to explain to people again what this band is. And the reason I came up with Alicia Pop, which is, by the way, not a name I use for myself. It is a name I use for my band of music that sounds kind of like poppy and quieter, my home recordings and stuff. That's what that's for. But and I was like, if I can just put Alicia in the title, I don't have to explain. People don't have to go, now whose band is that? It can just, it's a little more.
No one refers to you as Alicia Pop on the street.
I think there was a little confusion in an article that came out with that I go also by the definition of Alicia Pop. It's just the name of the band I do that can either be my solo recording band or a band with a lineup.
We're talking about Alicia Pop, so why don't we play Yellow Moon by Alicia Pop, and then when we come back, we'll talk about it.
Let's do it.
Feeling okay.
No, I don't want to hear that ever again. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No,
that was torture for you. You were like, she's staring at me while I'm listening to this
Yellow
song.
Moon. That sounds kind of werewolfy or something. No,
yeah, that album has a wolfy
this album
theme.
right here
Has
Howlin'.
a wolfy theme.
Hey, it's a Black and Wyatt release, and we're on the Black and Wyatt podcast.
I like how Black and Wyatt sounds kind of like a real southern version of saying black and white.
Well, Yellow Moon is the third track. Why do you have a star and Saturn?
There's a key code,
code.
on the lyric sheet inside that says who all played on it. And so everyone is assigned, or maybe it's down there, everyone is assigned a different little symbol. Whoever is a star and a Saturn is who's on that recording. Well, at the back of, I recently had a post about my junk drawer, which people seemed very responsive to. I was a little nervous because I took a picture of it, posted it on the World Wide Web before I really looked at what pictures I was showing people. And it had like my will in it and stuff.
Say
but,
what?
Now everyone knows I have a will. It was a junk drawer of like these kind of pictures, and I was looking for one of these pictures in particular that's on the back of here, I think. It was this like dancer, it was like this one, of the Spanish dancer where her skirt is a real fabric skirt. It's a postcard I bought maybe in Spain, I guess. And I was trying to find that to make a poster out of it.
So did you go out in the backyard in your new house and take?
Yeah, I had a real moss-covered backyard, a shady backyard, and there was some sunlight at that time. So I just took a bunch of the back of this cover, if to describe it, is there's a mossy grass flat background, and the picture's taken down looking at the grass, and it has a square of all these like little sentimental items and pictures and paintings and little toys and patches and some 3D animals and a picture of me. And
the Polaroid I gave you?
Yeah, the Polaroid you gave me, and a jackalope, and a letter that a teacher wrote about me, but it's like water stained. I put little items in a circle or square that were important to me because the album I was making is my, kind of like a intimate album with home recordings. It's hard sometimes when you're used to being in like a loud, paranoid, anxiety-ridden band to put out something a little more tender, and it puts you in a mode of vulnerability. And so I put these little these objects all around there that I thought were very sentimental to me and carried a lot of and there's my little petrified dehydrated mouse. You and Wheat might have been with me when we actually climbed the stairs to the top of the pyramid, and it was like 120 degrees up there, and I found that mouse up there.
I have no memory of that.
You don't remember climbing the stairs?
I remember
to the top
that, and the crystal skull and all that. I remember that.
But yeah, if the Bass Pro Shop, there's some stairs in there.
What if we'd gotten a job at the Bass Pro Shop instead of the Pyramid Arena? Things would have turned out a lot differently. Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten fired. I got fired because of you. Actually,
no.
Yes, I did. In the year 2000.
What I did?
I went with you and Jay and Rich.
Oh, I thought you meant at work. I thought I did some.
Well, no, the circumstances.
You partied and didn't come to work.
No, I didn't party. No, I was showing Super Starlight AD in the year 2000 in Jackson, Mississippi, because that's where you go if you want to get fired.
Yeah.
With
Overnight Lows.
Overnight Lows.
Weathers.
I was trying to say Weather Report.
No, you were right.
No, I didn't get back in time to direct a basketball game for the Jumbotron in the arena of the Pyramid. And then the next Monday, I was called in and I was told to clean out my desk. They were looking for an excuse to fire me anyway, and the Lost Sounds gave it to me.
So how did I play a part? How did I get you fired?
We pretty much kept to the schedule, but I wasn't in any rush either. Yeah.
Well, I just don't remember. There's a lot of things gone from my memory. Yes. I think I was dedicated to touring and my record label and my mail order at that time, and had a pretty low cost of living because I bought an inexpensive house.
On Blythe?
On Tutwiler.
Oh, Tutwiler. Oh, that was the first house you bought.
Yeah, I was in that crosstown area before anyone was over there. My realtor called me an urban pioneer.
And you pioneered it all the way until you left.
Yeah, then I pioneered it to the suburbs.
Yeah.
Well, we urban pioneered ourselves over to an area that got really popular, and so we our house became, and we bought an old, my second house, I bought an old house that, stopped being changed since the 1940s, was pretty nasty inside and pretty beat up, and we fixed that up, and after living there for 10 years, we were able to sell it for
when you
a nice
say
profit. Well, Severin did a lot of
your husband Severin.
Manual labor,
but you're jumping ahead in time considerably.
Yeah.
So how many places did you live when you were in the Lost Sounds?
When I was in Lost Sounds,
you took over Delena's house when she moved.
Oh no,
away?
She took over our house.
Oh, is that the way it worked? Okay,
She took over my house. I was in a house on Blythe when I was in Lost Sounds. We did a lot of recordings there. Strangely enough, a property that I manage now that we've been fixing up for like almost a year now to flip it was another house we did lots of recordings at, where Jay and the Oscars lived at. Chuck Vicious and Sam Burnett and Scott Patterson, and I think Abe might have lived there. I'm not sure.
Well, I want you to talk about the Lost Sounds too, either before now or after.
Before now
or after.
Well, okay, I'll play the song because it's going to sound so different than Yellow Moon, and I'll see what I think.
Radon Flowers.
What? Flows.
Oh, sorry, I wrote it down.
Mike just said something about W.C. Fields that can't be repeated, but yeah, I actually liked old movies a lot because my dad kind of forced them on me.
Because you're in them?
Well, I mean, old movies, okay. Like people who might have not even been alive when I was alive, and those W.C. Fields movies. But we watched lots of Marx Brothers movies.
You know what I like about W.C. Fields? He hates children and animals.
Oh, he hates animals? I didn't even know that. But
Have you not noticed?
Well, but the truth is that the thing is that if you peel back the layers of the onion, he actually was a clown. So he probably loved children. He just had a shtick.
He and his wife were staunch Catholics around, 1916 or something? Staunch. So she wouldn't give him a divorce, and they had a child. He left Philadelphia. You're
a good... It worked the same with a girl's voice.
Well, now you sound like Corinne Elkins. Sorry.
So Radon Flows Flowers. Radon Flows Flowers.
That's what you should have called it.
I was, do you have any questions about that song?
I don't, I will say this. I listened to every one of these freaking songs about 2 months ago when we thought you were coming in to do the podcast. And then you got busy with things like
Kittens,
Kittens. I'm like, Lost Kittens. What is that, a new band name?
Someone found some kittens. If they'd left them lost, they would have been okay.
I
Because
thought
they
it was
wanted a human to raise
I thought
them.
it was a follow-up to Ultra Cats. Okay, oh, now you're in Lost Kittens. Got it. But you really do like cats, don't you?
Well, I just love animals, and I wouldn't say I'm a cat person. If I was to...
You're not a cat person.
I love dogs, but I just love animals. I just love being around all animals, and I will try to... I do like cats, though, but I'm getting to know cats better as I'm around them, and they're incredible because they can be potty trained by the time they're like 3 weeks old.
Why do cats like to show you
Some of
their
them.
butts so much?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think they're just walking by.
Well, ultimately, break down the psychology and intent and tonality of all your bands, and then that would be a reason to cut to certain songs. But, this is all very freeform.
Lost Sounds was just, kind of anxiety and insanity all happening at once, and that happened. And it's not very well documented in the video world. It was a little pre everyone having a camera on them. I think that band, because I follow I get these readouts from Spotify and Apple Tunes, and that band seems to have a really steady listening base still. So
What do people find attractive in it?
I don't know. Maybe it just maybe it might be that it didn't have its audience at the time, but I don't know, it just maybe took a little while to get because it was so doomsday, and maybe people feel more doomsday and they could relate to it more, or maybe it just took a while to reach people. But it's very heavy without being metal or heavy rock, or without saying, rah, it's not like that, but it still is very, very heavy and dark, and maybe, people just need that kind of thing in music. In a perfect world, we were really coming into our own when we broke up. If we didn't have personality issues, we would have been a band that became, probably really expanded on the orchestrated aspect of things and became rather difficult to listen to, with lots of time changes, but lots of, operatic kind of, operatic as far as guitars go, not vocals.
How would you have accomplished that?
Well, we were starting to write stuff like that. That was just that was because our skills had increased. And we understood how each other wrote songs. After 5 years, and so we had like a bunch of new songs that never got recorded and stuff.
Have those been released?
No,
never.
Well, I think maybe a couple, maybe demos on that Gone or Lost thing, but no, a lot of them were things we were trying that wasn't like we had phones with recorders on at that time, so I think we hadn't even recorded demos of them yet. I do know for a fact that there were some of those ideas that came out in Jay's songs later, and I tried to put a few into some Tanline songs, which is a more simple band. How
many Lost Sounds albums were there?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 official albums, and then a EP, which is 7 songs, which people consider an album, and then some 2 outtakes albums, and then a Nervous Patterns album, which is kind of like Lost Sounds with just me and Jay's home recordings, which are Lost Sounds demos, basically.
And yet there's still stuff that people haven't heard.
No, I think for the most part they've heard everything, because the songs that we were working on songs with like timing changes and stuff, and they really needed to be worked and recorded on as a band, and didn't get recorded, but whatever, that happens.
But those songs linger in your mind or on paper?
I probably took a few of those ideas but just moved on. It was a real weird time for me when that band broke up. I was very disoriented, because that's what I dedicated the last 5 or 6 years of my life to being focused on, and had to kind of reorient myself and then I wasn't around that difficult personality that was Jay, and then I wasn't around Rich anymore, who was like a musical, companion. So so I mean, it was just a weird time, and I think I just kind of moved on with the Tanlines guys and the Mouse Rocket guys to trying, stuff that I thought fit for those.
But those weren't simultaneous, were they?
I think it was all simultaneous.
Really?
Yeah.
So you, instead of just starting another band, you started 2 bands.
Well, I just focused on River City Tanlines, which had already started, and then Mouse Rocket had been going since something like 2003. And I always had a little side thing with Lori, and that we'd play once in a while.
Right.
And that was kind of what you did, is you just, I guess before anyone, no one's ever defined me as ADHD, but I mean, it was like I had so many ideas and just had to always have constant outlets for them.
Okay, I recall the Ultra Cats played the Shine On Sweet Starlight premiere at the Map Room in 1998. So that means that the Ultra Cats would have preceded the Lost Sounds, and then been concurrent with the Lost Sounds, right?
I guess so. I mean, I wouldn't say we're a working band anymore, because Lori started playing in Sweet Knives and Alicja Pop, and so I'd say that we just kind of progressed on into that, but we still do 1 or 2 Ultra Cat songs once in a while, randomly, just for like, hey, let's throw this on the set list.
But how many official releases of Ultra Cats were there?
0.
Wow.
Yeah, we just made some CDRs and stuff like that.
So you've never put out vinyl? Well, I feel compelled to play an Ultra Cat song.
Okay. What
would it be?
Well, we still do When You Were Mine, but I mean, the best songs, if we have recordings of them, they're these Robert and Johnny songs that Lori sings. We have a live video that someone took at Barrister's, and it's really good. It's never been put to audio, like no one's ever put it to audio, but that would be a good thing to do sometime.
But it's a good audio recording?
Well, I think so. I mean, I remember liking it at the time, and I'm hypercritical of myself, and so I might like it better now even, or I might hate it. I don't know. So
Jack and Greg Oblivion came over one night to mine and Kim's house at 113 North Greer, and they brought you with them, and they're like, hey, here's this person named Alicia.
Here's this person named Alicia.
And so we met you, and this might have been 95, I guess, or 94 even.
Hey, 95? Look, we brought this stray dog with us. Her name happens to be Alicia.
But obviously you had not been in a band at that point? You were still at NYU, or you were...
Was I had done the Satyrs with Jason Paxton, right?
Oh, really?
The Satyrs. Well, Jason Paxton and I formed a band first called Spitshine, and then the Satyrs. But I feel like Mouse Rocket had formed a long time.
But you kept leaving and going back to New York and coming back to Memphis.
Well, no, I just went there for a semester of school.
Okay.
I got I was going to MCA, Memphis College of Art, and I got a grant to go study for a semester there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what were you studying?
Oh, just visual arts, fine arts, or whatever. Yeah, it was really cool.
Which has stayed with you.
So I recently just had my first painting show, and I thought it did nicely, but it was the first time I really focused on painting for years, and I've yet so much to learn, because I just missed 20 some odd years of painting because I was doing music. I was I delved into art full on, but music, I was in my 20s, and music just seemed like fun and social, and I'd a very inhibited person because I'd been a bit browbeaten by my family and over criticized, and so
how so?
I don't know how to describe it, but but in coming to doing music, I felt like, when you add playing loudly with drinking, that's a great place to free your inhibitions when you've been hyper criticized, So I think I liked that better. And if I'd stayed with art, though I was very enthralled by it and moved by, pieces, like emotionally moved and stuff. But I felt like I would just have been in this alone world in my head and never made anything of myself in art because, I would have just been alone. And it's, you got to go out there and network and hope someone finds you charming and decides to, sponsor you.
Well, social butterflyism is better for music or filmmaking, and isolationism is better for art. And
well, right, it's great for making art, but you have to have somebody there to bring you out into the public and publicize you, or else you're just. Yeah. I mean, think of how many
an agent.
Yeah, and with music, I really don't know, how it did what it did, but you have to be in front of people, which I don't love. I mean, I honestly just wanted to play in other. I was hoping somebody would ask me to be in one of their bands, and I could just play along and be part of it, right. But no one ever did. So I got a 4-track and started writing songs.
How old were you when you had your first musical experience or memory?
Do you mean playing songs?
No, just when you were little.
Well, I mean, I loved the sound. Sounds were very appealing to me when I was a kid. But I mean, I'm talking about listening to like the Chipmunks, or listening to records with like Jesus Christ Superstar or something. But the Monkees, when I was a kid, I mean, I didn't only love the show because the guys were cute and funny, and it was real quirky, but I loved the music by the Monkees. I wasn't terribly exposed to music when I discovered it on my own without anyone introducing it to me and saying, listen to this or listen to that. I mean, even as a little kid, Sesame Street had incredibly appealing music on it. So, and either you listen to just the lyrics, which I think I listened to more the melody than the lyrics of songs. But I got a guitar when I was like 14, and just somehow I think at that time someone shared some pages of tabs from like a Guitar World magazine, and I just started figuring them out in my own weird way. And
where were you living then? You were?
Well, I guess I was in my mom's condo.
In Memphis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you were always growing up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up, since I was like 8 or 9. Yeah, I lived in outside of Baltimore before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I played piano. They had me playing piano when I was a little kid, so I had a feel for. Even though I didn't like piano lessons, I did like sitting at the piano and making up my own stuff. Sometimes you hear sounds and they're appealing to you. Mm-hmm. Like I found out that I find an MRI very appealing. The sound of the MRI. I remember waking up one night and hearing the air conditioner, the heat pop on, and the fan word, and it was like the sound of that was so good to me, For one thing, like rock and roll, like very basic rock and roll, it like kind of does something inside of you, that blues chord progression and the electric sound of a guitar. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think, maybe it's that electrical sound that is appealing to me. I mean, but I'm also find non-electrical sounds very appealing, but I guess strings are still metal. A great sounding guitar chord through a nice warm amp through a good fuzzy pedal, and that just one sound good. And I think that's what I'm saying is like those kind of things.
But with the lost sounds, the repetitive or the rhythms weren't necessarily percussive.
That was almost like an exercise in exorcism.
Okay, so then you're getting out of high school. You didn't form a band in high school.
Oh no, I think we just sit around and play and sing songs.
Did you have friends from high school that continued into the later years, the Midtown scene or whatever?
Well, my only, and I would say he was an acquaintance, and I guess in a way I admired him from afar. But in high school, John Filippa. Okay, so I was finishing high school at a boarding school, and I believe he had at that time a crush on one of my friends, John Filippa, who was a musician around campus who played rock music, but it was he was, very, very technically savvy and creative. So it was very interesting. The school at that time was very granola and like sort of Grateful Dead influenced, and that was not my cup of tea, and it didn't didn't sound like it was his cup of tea either by the music he played. It was he was maybe a little bit more influenced by like Frank Zappa type Trout mask replica kind of, Captain Beefheart kind of stuff. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me.
And this was John Philippa. Gian.
Gian, and he gave a tape to a girl who was in my friend group, and all of us in that friend group just fell in love with this tape, and it was all home recording. I think we all had only heard radio music and tapes and albums that had been produced in a studio at this time, and that just set me into a world that found home recording 4-track music as the ultimate sound that was appealing. Again, I'm talking about what actually like tickles the little follicles in my ear the right way, and that's what it was doing it.
And how did that lead to being introduced to John's brother Tim Philippa?
Not really through John. We copied this tape and shared it with just our friend group, and I brought it home and played it later when I finished high school. I came back home and I met Shelby Bryant, who happened to be a 4-tracker and record at home, because that was the time when like you could save up your money and go buy one for $400, which was a lot of money at that time. That was
so you came back home. How'd you meet Shelby?
I met Shelby through a friend named Dan Wood.
So it had nothing to do with school.
Nothing to do with that, but so Shelby and I listened and loved this tape, and we started, listening to music together and hanging out and stuff, and 89, 90 or something like that. And Shelby was like, we should call Tim. And we were like, oh yeah, like what you used to do, like dial 411 and look and try to look up. So we called 411 and we asked for a Tim Philippa in New York City, and he's like, it's him. And Tim Philippa answers the phone, and Shelby's like, well, Tim, you don't know me, but this person I'm here with went to school with your brother John, and we have this tape by you, and that relationship
I've never heard that story.
Yeah, and that relationship began, and as we stayed friends with Tim all these years, and he sent tapes, because I'm talking out of high school here. And way later down the road, I'd gone to 4 years of college and then started at MCA. And the second semester I was at MCA, I went to New York on that scholarship or grant or whatever. And that's when I was like, I'm going to meet this Tim Philippa. And so I met Tim and became friends.
Now, they were in Brooklyn, weren't they?
Well, he was in New York City still. They were both in New York City at that time.
Okay, that's true. Because we stayed with him in 98 when we went to
that little bitty apartment with the
mannequins and everything. And I wound up with a mannequin because we used it in Super Starlight AD and he never took it back. I feel like we should maybe play a Tim Philippa song.
Sure.
And we should play a Clears song.
Okay.
clothesline over the ocean, washing myself, cutting mother strings. Yeah. How do you think I got good with a gun? finger king. How do you think I got off with the stars? The sun. How do you think I got good with a girl? How do you think I know? I said I've got bad breath all day. Angels give me television, double vision. Give me your okay. Angels give me television. Now I know that heaven is
The Beatles came to my wedding. Oh, I can't get that low.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
You gave me all the cassettes of this stuff.
And then Life. There's so many good. I mean, it's just there's nothing bad
The
in the bunch.
Beatles came to my wedding.
Beatles came to my. I started too low. And there's so much more Tim Philippa stuff out there, and John is trying to sift through it. And
Is
I know
he?
that's very painful for him, but
Yeah.
he played me some reel-to-reel stuff last summer when I was up there, and it was amazing.
Oh, is he doing okay?
Well, I think John's doing great, but he's
Yeah.
mourning the loss of his brother.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's a great, he's a.
And Jen is still around?
And Jen, yeah.
Yeah.
they're
Well, that's
doing
great.
And their daughter, who's Valentine, my daughter's age, 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So which song would you want to play from the Clears album?
Well, I like the song I Saw You, and that's one of the songs that I sing. So a bunch of wonderful ones that both Shelby and Brad sing on as well.
Well, we won't get to those tonight.
Yeah, you got to just listen
We'll
to the
have them
album.
on the show at a different time.
Yeah.
So here's I Saw You by the Clears.
Standing by the roadside as a doctor in the field.
All right, we're back. That was I Saw You by the Clears, 1997 on Smells Like Records.
Yeah.
Steve Shelley from Sonic Youth had a record label.
And a local label called Resort Theory did the vinyl.
With Dave Dunlap in charge of that label. What happened to those labels? Are they still around?
Smells Like Records is still a label. I don't know if they're putting stuff out, but I believe, but Steve still runs his label, and I think they do, some of the songs get licensed and such.
So how would the Clears ever be reissued to the world? No, people don't maybe know about the Clears.
Well, as far as I know, Smells Like Records still runs the digital version of that, the Clears being, available on streaming media. So it's always on YouTube. The album, to find a vinyl, that's not so easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you say that the Clears are the lesser known of all your bands? Or maybe not because of Steve Shelley?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it had its little day, but we were probably only a band for a year, if even 11 months.
But it took me 4 years to finish actually 20 years maybe to finish the video.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can I publicly apologize to you?
Oh, well, it got done. I mean, for me, you finished that a long time ago.
You know what distracted me?
You were waiting for technology to advance so that you could make us into centaurs.
Well, I was going to say,
you're like, I know if I wait 10 more years, I'll just press the centaur button.
I was going to say Lost Kittens.
Oh, okay.
Lost Kittens. I
or
do
Raid on Flowers.
I do what I can. So now the 90s are happening, and you're just in one band after another. And you said earlier you say you started out with the Satyrs.
Well, before we were at the Satyr, I called it the Satyrs, but before we were that
Satyrs, okay.
I mean, you can call it whatever. I don't know. Before it was called Spitshine.
Spitshine,
and then I did a little record by myself, and I think I might have named a little solo band Mouse Rocket already. I think I might have named like my little home recording band Mouse Rocket.
So I have that record that was put out by Ed.
Yeah, that wait, his is a smell too.
Was it?
No, Porterhouse. No, Porterhouse's is. It smells something. Oh no, I'm sorry. His band was called New Car Smell.
But the record
Something
label.
smells.
So didn't he put out 68 Comeback or Ross Johnson or Teenage Adolescent Fantasy or some of that stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The guy
I think he
Ed.
did a Lorette record, and,
Okay.
and he did a guy named Lester Sivitz.
Lester. And they had a white look to them with photos and things. I recall those. And that would have been 96, 7.
Yeah, they had these arty blown out photo kind of covers. It'd be like the orange ones, the blue ones, the red ones, the purple ones.
So I have that somewhere. And you were also providing tracks for like Jack of Bolivian solo. I remember you were on that with Shelby. Shelby played keys on that. Mm-hmm. So, and those are some of my favorite records of all time. Just amazing. I mean, and it made me realize that the best stuff I was going to encounter, at least for the decade of the 90s, whatever, was right in my own backyard. Mm-hmm. And at the club, downtown at Barristers or the Antenna.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I felt like at that time that I was in the as small of a scene as it was, I felt like I was in a true musical mecca of greatness. And, it was like the world was in the phase of grunge. Really, there was the greatness from Jack and Greg and Jeff Evans and this garage thing forming, but really it was their sound of home recording, people who made home recordings.
Like John Spencer taking that and...
Yeah, I mean, and I don't really know how to define it, but I do remember having the thought of this is going to really get discovered and blow up. Mm-hmm. But it did. Garage blew up, but it wasn't from the source.
In a White Stripes kind of way.
Yeah, it didn't blow up from the source. It blew up from the people who took something from the source.
Yeah, it blew
like
up.
John Spencer, and John Spencer took something from I'm not saying he definitely has his own unique style and sound, but he took something from like R.L. Burnside and that Southern sound and which, something like R.L. Burnside for people who lived in Memphis was like, you go down to the deli to see a show, and you're going to see some of that Mississippi rock and blues, and everyone's going to show up, and it's going to be this wild night. But it was like a normal thing for us. It wasn't like some exotic Mississippi man is, traveling to this place and we're seeing this, it was like our backyard music.
That kind of thing was going.
Right. So the garage thing turned into like, one of the biggest garage bands was like a band from Sweden,
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, they're good, but it's not the source of where the true meat and potatoes is.
Yeah.
It's like it's more like we like the Rolling Stones, but the Rolling Stones were tapping into the source, when they doing their translation of the source. And so if you're sourcing the Rolling Stones as your source, it's not the same.
You weren't aping trends, or you were like trying to set out to make your own sound and form your own identity. And I always thought every band that you formed carried that credo or that ethic. I always knew I was going to hear something different, and that's true of the decades have passed, but it's always you. It's kind of like your imprint. Are you still trying to figure yourself out? Or are you just like, you have children, you get married, you go through different things in life, you live a life, and do you think that's experienced in the different bands you have?
I mean, I think now I'm a really different person when I was back then. And I definitely was trying to figure myself out then. And I think that all my music was a product of me trying to figure out what my music should be. And everything was an experiment to be like, is this song working? Is this song working? I think females maybe approach music in a different way than males. And there's a much easier acceptance in rock if you're male, and if you're in like indie rock and you're going for something soft and very hyper feminine and female, and then and that is your style, that's the right place. You're in the right place, but that wasn't my style. And so I think it took 10 years of me writing songs to define what my style is like, because it's not one type of song or one type of album. It's all those together conglomerated. And so,
what is the style?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I definitely would say like, I don't really write very happy songs that are super like, I'll think I'm writing like a happy poppy thing, but really it's kind of dark. But so there's a lot of darkness to it.
But
even
maybe
if it
with major chords though.
Yeah, even if it has like a happy sound or something.
Well, what's the 10-year period where you just said that you figured out who you were as a songwriter? What 10 years was that?
Well, I mean, I don't think I figured it out yet, but I think it took 10 years worth of music to put all that stuff together, and all the bands I was in and all the styles to define what my style is. Clears through Lost Sounds. Well, that's very opposite. And then through Mouse Rocket, which is very opposite. And Tanlines, which is, me trying to strip stuff down to a 3-piece and be more basic. So,
we were going to play Missing Teeth by Mouse Rocket. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Let the audience figure it out.
Listen to
All right, that was Missing Teeth.
Meow, 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 meow. Okay, so
You're gonna have
Mouse
to pay
Rocket.
royalties on that.
Mouse
No.
Rocket. You can hear that song has a little, a different tone to it than Lost Sounds, but now, well, I think since we're showing how all over the place I am, let's jump to a rock band, and I picked a song that Mike did a video to.
Okay.
River City Tanlines doing "Looking for a Line," which this song is, my gentler track, but I think it still has like a heavy edge of rock.
I asking the right questions?
It was a rare moment. I confused Mike into silence. That was a rare moment.
No, you're setting the song up. I respect the artist on this show, and I've edited.
He was like, his mouth was open, like
show.
No,
I've gotten better at this.
Don't know what to say.
Keeping my mouth shut. It's been a lifelong learning experience for me, and I still haven't quite like you learning how to write songs. I've learned how to keep my mouth shut.
I'm learning that. Good Lord.
You don't
talk
want to
about
learn it right
marriage.
now.
Talk about marriage. You gotta
Talk
learn to
about
keep
marriage?
you gotta keep your mouth shut.
You want to talk about divorce?
Are you learning how to keep your mouth shut now? After a divorce?
Well, maybe we better move on. Oh, God. Okay, well, I guess we could talk a little bit here about how we've worked together in the movie industry, if you want to, or even if you don't want to. I think the thing I want to talk about as far as you and I working together on movies was with Superstar Lead AD, and we got on each other's nerves. And it's always cool to see what friends can take. Like, how much can you take?
Well, I wasn't supposed to be in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, and you needed me last minute because somebody quit on you. And you were like, oh, you called me up, and I was probably, I'm going to jump into my brain because I feel like I remember the moment of being like, oh, got nothing to do. I'm just going to sit at home and write songs and vegetate and hang out with my dog. And then you were like, Alicia, Stinzo quit on me. Alicia, I need you to come down to Mississippi and be in this movie. And I was like, no, Mike, I'm not. I'm home. I'm home and I got nothing to do. And I'm looking forward to this time where I'm not doing anything. But
I would like to think.
And you were like, I'll give you $100. And at that time I was like, I'll give you $150.
Right, because there was a pause.
And you only have to come down there for like 3 hours, just 3 hours.
Right.
And then I had to wear a wig and the wig changed.
Well, I remember you threw the wig at me when from an underpass downtown because you were up there. You were up under the underpass, or you may have been over the underpass, and you're like, "Is that it?" And I'm like, "Yes," but you never
so
say.
I took the wig off and threw it at
and I caught the wig, and I'm like, "I guess that's the end of the movie," but it really wasn't because other people had to wear the wig. The
man who drove the hot rod,
Ralph Handy. The lady,
I never knew him except for behind with the wig.
He wouldn't let anybody drive the hot rod, so then we had to improvise a scene where you push the hot rod into its resting spot because you had reached the war zone, which is where they built Tunica later.
He would let me push the hot rod.
People don't know what we're talking about.
I'm a good driver.
No, 5 or 6 different women played, and Ralph Handy played, and he was like a 300-pound dude. But they very long.
Did he play the caveman?
No, he played one of the women in the film. But
I know that.
From very far away.
Who drove the hot rod?
Because only he could drive the hot rod. Sorry. I would see a location and then I would write it into the script and go, "Oh, surely Alicia will climb over that shithole and do that."
Go into this absolutely disgusting crack house.
We never did that.
While she's wearing high-heeled shoes and white clothes.
No, but the lead actress for that role left after 2 days, and then I was scrambling to find someone, and it turned out to be different women to play the part, and then it turned out that no one noticed, the audience didn't notice, that different women were playing the part. Now, talk about some, screwed up chauvinism right there.
That's weird.
But anyway, well, that's what John...
Did Victoria have a...
She had a minor. She had a minor. Yeah, she filled in one day.
The blonde wig lady.
I explained it as...
What was that character's name?
Rachel.
But
Chaputa Records in Portugal, thank God for Europeans, they're putting out the Superstar Lead AD soundtrack on vinyl in a couple of months. So all the Tim Philippa tracks, going back to Tim and John or whoever involved in those things. I mean, really, I don't even know.
What's the record label called in Italy?
Chaputa. No, it's in Portugal.
Oh, Portugal. Okay.
They've reissued all my soundtracks 20 years later, which makes me feel like everybody, of course, says, "Oh, the music is the best thing."
Those are great soundtracks.
Oh, I don't just know. They are awesome. Yeah. But it's nice that every 20 years that there seems to be, I hope, there's a routine where some label puts out this stuff because it's eclectic and it's masterful. And
you have the masters. You have the master.
Well...
so they don't have to remaster.
I don't know how your shoebox is, but... Sometimes you carry one version of one thing that you keep at the bottom of a box or maybe in a little envelope. And I had a Superstar Lead AD CD of songs in sequence, and I don't even know how it was created. Maybe by you, who knows,
Maybe.
or Shelby.
I might have done that.
And because we sat at
feel
your
like I
house
did,
on
yeah.
Blythe and constructed these bizarro songs that Corinne Elkins and Catherine Greenwood and, well, we all sang on them. And then Corinne had like 3 hours to come over and put her parts in when you and I think, were in Mississippi. This is 98. The movie was kind of finished in 99 while I was working at the Pyramid and you were working there
Gosh,
with me.
this is ringing a bell.
These were all like during the working at the Pyramid
Yeah,
Arena.
this is ringing a bell with me, and I still have my very old computer working. Of course, it won't connect to the internet, but I have a CD burner on it, so I may have that
Right.
stuff on my very old computer.
Well, luckily there were no scratches or anything, and so then I gave it to my friend Rick O'Brien, and he archived it, and then we began to, and then Jesse Mansfield mastered it for vinyl, and now Shaputa's putting it out. But it's weird. It's like how easily something can be lost, and it's saved. So I can't wait for it to come out, and of course, beautiful artwork on it and everything. So thank you for doing all that
Okay,
work.
You're welcome, but I barely remember.
Hello, Velvet. I brought you a gift. Something I know you'll love. I love feathers. I love leather. I love plastic too. If she'd only sew for me, then I'd love velvet too. I could maybe free the baby if she'd sew for me.
Little goddess, make it so.
Please, Velvet, won't you sew for me? If you'd sew for me. Jezebel needs clothes, Velvet. The Tempters need clothes, Velvet. Downtown, the Queen wears purple gowns, Velvet. I like mine in black.
No. Velvet, do you realize how it looks when my own dominatrix has a second skin?
I know.
I love Kathy X. She's nice to me. I hate you, Jezebel.
Look, honey, I know I've been a little rough on you. Why, you were just a phantom of the orphanage when we found you, and nobody loved you then. Hey, it's been tough on everybody, let alone a diagnosed schizophrenic like yourself. But you know what? You got a vocation. You're the only one who can make clothes, Velvet. And that's what the Tempters need, Velvet, to get us through these hard times. Don't do it for old Jezebel. Don't do it for the Tempters, Velvet.
Do it for women.
Women like you belong naked.
I could kill you, break each finger, take you to my knee.
Why not let the one you love
Do the job for me. Teach her a lesson, Kathy X.
It must have been fun.
It was just like weird afternoons.
But I am remembering these songs that were created just for the movies, and I remember them being really intense and catchy. And
They were operatic and
yeah.
schizophrenic, and it's crazy. So let's talk about Sweet Knives, or what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the decade that
Sweet
gave birth
Knives.
to other bands.
Well, the 2010s, I think in this time, well, okay, I had a child in the 2007, so my life changed. I was still doing some things with the River City Tanlines and Mouse Rocket, and but my home recordings, which maybe I was releasing as Alicja Pop in maybe 2015, I released something, but I started Sweet Knives in me and Rich were always chatting and remained friends. And he said, well, I'm moving back to Tennessee, because he lived in Chicago. And he goes, so I'm going to be kind of closer to you, like 4 hours away. And he said, well, I've kind of thought sometime about doing some of those old Lost Sound songs. And I was like, I've kind of thought about that too, just because for the fact that, I wrote all these songs and then the band ended and I never got to play any of those songs again. So he thought we would start up just to play the old Lost Sound songs. But then we ended up turning it into a band where we wrote new songs. If you want to jump way back in our conversation, probably an hour ago, if not more, I was talking about how Lost Sounds ended and we were writing a bunch of songs, and that we had progressed to this place together as a band where we understood songs. We understood each other's feel and what we were trying to say. And so starting up to play with Rich again, when we started to write songs, he so easily understood the feel I was going for on as a drummer. He played drums, or he played bass and some other stuff on those recordings. And so we started that band up, to kind of get that old thing worked out that maybe hadn't been tied up in a nice little bow. It's the only band I play in that has kind of the Lost Sounds feel, at least of my songs in Lost Sounds. I can't speak for it having the feel of Jay's songs. Someone else would have to decide if it has that feel. I don't know.
Right. Well, which song do you want to play by the Sweet Knives? You got. Don't you think too much? Blocking the Lanes. Or we could do both.
Let's do Blocking the Lanes.
Do Blocking the Lanes?
Yeah.
Okay. Say?
And then, I picked a contrasting song by Sweet Knives to play as well. And Sweet Knives is my next band that'll be going on tour. I don't know when this will come out, but
this isn't coming out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to play one more Sweet Knives song then?
Yeah, let's play Don't You Think Too Much About It.
What do I do to make you
So, okay.
Don't you think too much is not the actual title of the song.
I just wanted to kind of touch on where you were as a person during the decades that you were making the music and forming the bands and the...
Yeah, I don't know where I am as a person.
Right now?
I'm just lost as a person as I was then.
Well, I don't think you are.
Well, I mean, I don't mean that in a problemed way. I just
Right.
mean I still am I going to be a painter now? Because I have a bunch of songs that I don't feel like recording. I'm just like, yeah, I worked so hard to write those songs, and they might be some of my greatest songs, but I don't really want to record them anymore.
Do your kids come in do your girls come into the room while you're painting and go, "Mom, I thought you played music. What's this with the painting?" I mean, what's going on?
No, I mean, I think that they prefer when I'm painting because they can interact with me, whereas when I play music, I'm like, oh, I got to go to band practice or I got to show, and they're like, oh.
Do they paint with you?
No, no, my children, like, I was one of those kids who, like, if there was art to be done, I was there doing it as long as I could possibly do it. I believe you were probably one of those as well. They're not they just don't have that same desire. Like, it doesn't fulfill them. I mean, they'll do it. Like, they'll make pretty stuff when it's time to make a card or something, you know, but they don't have that, like, impulse like I did. My daughter, the oldest one, started playing guitar and singing in her room. She does it for, you know, after school and what's it called? Unpushed, unprovoked? I don't know. But, you know, for a while I was trying to like stimulate art and stimulate music and get them to do it. And I was like, they're just not me. They're not like me. And they don't need that to be happy, you know, to feel fulfilled or to, like, other things in life are interesting to them. And then she started playing guitar and singing on her own.
Well,
so,
how did having kids influence how you wrote songs?
Like, for a person who's kind of dark, it's like a happiness, you know? So it, and also it made me appreciate the time that I did have to be creative and to hit it with a little more gusto and passion because the time is so, you know, small that you get to do that thing.
What do you mean?
Do that. Well, I mean, when you have children, especially when you're a mom, I mean, you know, I don't mean to be, you know, like reverse sexist, but the mom just has a lot more on her shoulders than the male in a role. I mean, they dads who are in music just go off and tour for months and months and months and are like, I'm a dad. I can't wait to see my kid when I get back home. And that's just not possible for a mom. She plays like a different role in holding the whole household together, and it all comes crashing when she's not there. And so,
have you felt that personally?
Oh yeah, many times. I mean, I think last summer I was on tour way too much, and my house was kind of in chaos when I got home.
Yeah. Is that when you started painting?
Well, I started painting during COVID when there was that whole music shutdown, and that's when I returned to it, and I found that there was you're satisfying your creative energies in the same way, even though but I feel my paintings are not dark. I mean, maybe they are somewhere under there. Like, yeah, this is a little bit dark.
Maybe I think they're more supernatural.
Yeah, or kind of fantasy or surreal.
Well, before we get out of here, you want to talk about your recent show and what that was all about and how it came about and what happened?
Yeah, so I had my first solo art show, paintings. It happened when a local artist and former architect, Brantley Elsie, he invited me to be part of a fundraiser that was Dolly Parton themed, and I submitted my piece, and he was very charmed by the piece, and so he said, oh, I'd like to talk to you about possibly doing a show at my studio, because he has the front gallery is for his work, and I think when he's clients coming to look at his work, or he's trying to put in a proposal for something, he can bring him to his gallery in his space and show him what he's all about. So, you know, it works as a working place, not just a creative space. So he came out to my house and looked at my paintings, and my paintings are all over the house, and he picked a sort of theme, and he said, you don't have to stick to this theme, but out of all your paintings, these kind of like woodsy little animal in the woods things, I see the most of those, I guess. And so he guided me to a theme, And I worked on that for several months, 7 months, and then came up with a show which we named Understory.
Why'd you call it that?
Well, originally he said something about calling it Into the Woods, which I loved. I haven't actually seen the play or the musical Into the Woods. And then I said, well, I was kind of thinking about calling it like Into the Understory, because you're not looking at the whole tree, you're looking at the vignette under the tree, like the spaces that the forest, like the pathways or the little animal that live in and under the tree, or you're looking through it at the sunlight coming through out of it. He was like, well, just call it Understory. And then Understory to me represented a lot of things, and also story. It's telling a story and it's illustrative, and I'm not using it as an illustration, but each painting has like a story. When you paint something for 10 hours, you're thinking in your head and you're churning out your thoughts, and same as writing a song. And then the understory kind of reminded me of like underground music, and how the word underground is used to describe music that would kind of, not so much that it's used anymore, but that would describe music, which is what's appealing to me and what I was influenced by, and maybe where my genre of music fits.
You don't think underground is used as much or is relevant anymore?
No, I don't. I think now people might say indie or something, like to say independent music, but no, I don't think, I don't even know what underground really would refer to anymore.
Well, I'm glad you finally made it over and we could talk, and we always have to get to that point where we wrap it up, but I feel like I could talk to you for a little while longer.
Whoever listens to this is going to have to, jump around through the decades.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
See you around.